safely assume that you are among friends.
I paid for them.
Yes. Now, it should be explained, actually, to people who might go and see the film that poor guy that you're taking revenge on there, you had, in fact, inserted a bomb, an explosive device, where the sun don't shine.
Where the sun don't shine. I wore gloves. I did, actually.
You did?
Yeah.
What would make a man so angry that he would do that to another human being?
Well, this is basically a story. It's sort of a love story, revenge story. It's the character that I play is a man who, when we first meet him, he's in deep depression and struggling with alcoholism, and he's very distraught about his past. And he's asked to bodyguard this young girl who's played by Dakota Fanning, a great young actress. And
she's wonderful.
Yeah, she's brilliant, isn't she? She sort of brings him back to life and helps him to learn to love again, and then at that moment she's taken from him, and he becomes the man on fire.
That's right. He exacts awful and terrible revenge.
Yes, he does.
On those who have plotted against him.
That's correct.
Very
As well he should.
As well he should. I was on your side.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, but the issue of kidnapping is a very serious one in the country where, in fact, you shot that, Mexico,
right.
Isn't it?
This was a book that was written about 30-some-odd years ago at a time when Italy was struggling with the Red Brigade and had a lot of problems with kidnapping. Unfortunately, Mexico and South America now are the hotbed for kidnapping, Rio de Janeiro and Mexico City.
Do you talk to any victims of this, people who've been affected by
Yes, yes, we did. In fact, our character, our bad guy, if you will, in our film was sort of based on a real man who was known as the ear cutter, for obvious reasons. And we met a woman who was kidnapped. Her father was a very wealthy man, and she was kidnapped in Mexico City. And they were paying in the attempt to pay the ransom, and something went wrong, and he got upset and sent her mother and father her ears to let them know how serious she was. And I actually got to sit with the mother and the daughter and to hear the mother tell the story and relive it. It was amazing.
I mean, does that sort of thing, how does that help the actor, and what does it do?
Well, I think it reminds you that, you know, what you're doing is serious, and it's not just a movie. And I mean, in my case, it was just, it helped me with the character and what the type of revenge that he seeks.
It helps you imagine what really happened, and that made yes.
Yeah.
What about I mean, you raised the question of this girl, and she is wonderful. I mean, there's a most marvellous interaction between the two of you. I mean, normally I can't stand kids on movies. It really brings out the worst in me. I sort of look at them, no, I don't sage children. But there's something extraordinary quality this girl's got.
Yeah, well, I slapped her around a few times.
Quite right.
She's 10 years old, going on 45.
Isn't she?
Yeah,
Exactly.
she's amazing. I mean,
she's extraordinary.
The first scene we did together, there's a scene when she takes me up to the room where I'm going to stay, and she sits up on the bed, and we're doing the scene, and only twice in my career have I found myself sitting and just watching the other actor and not even being in the scene. The first time was with Gene Hackman, and the second time was with her. I was like, this woman's got to be 46 years old. She can't be 10 years old.
But let's have a look. There's a lovely scene between the two of you where you're talking, well, you're establishing a relationship, and you're trying to, she's trying to make you laugh.
Okay.
It's a lovely, tender scene, this. Here we are. That's a lovely scene.
Yeah, and that scene, everything you just saw, we made up.
Did you?
Yeah. The only line was, you're smiling, and my line was, no, I'm not. And we had 2 cameras on us so we could just improvise. And I said, I'm just going to keep going. You just jump in. And what you see is exactly what she came up with.
It's a lovely scene, a beautiful scene. Now, the other, I mean, you were renowned for researching your roles. But one part of this role, of course, you didn't have to renown, and that's the alcoholic part of it, because at one point in your life, you were in danger of becoming an alcoholic, weren't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Right now, as we speak.
When you were younger.
When I was younger, well, I guess we all were in danger. We didn't know it, but...
But, I mean, in your case, I mean, you were a young man when you went off the rails.
No, I didn't go that far off the rails. Somebody told you I did.
No, that was in all the research, in all the articles written about you.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I better read them.
Did you not... the story is that when your father left home,
yeah,
when your parents were divorced,
right,
that in fact then you started going out drinking, mixing with the wrong mob?
Well, I was mixing with the wrong mob before they got divorced. But no, I guess it had more to do, not so much drinking, but just being angry about it and lashing out, getting into
about
more
the divorce.
fights. Yeah, getting into fights and stuff like that. You know, just a young kid, I guess, not understanding what's going on and, you know, just taking it out on whoever's close by.
Well, these sort of gangs that you're involved with, that sort of thing? Neighborhood gangs?
Well, I grew up in New York, you know, and I grew up with a pretty rough crowd. Most of my friends from that time are dead or in prison, and for whatever reason, I guess because my mother had good sense to get me out of it, you know, I was exposed to other things and sent away to well, I guess you call them here public schools, right?
Sure.
We call them private schools.
Sure, exactly.
But, so she sent me away to school where all the alcoholics and drug addicts really were. Little did she know.
That's in the business.
Yeah, the rich kids had all the drugs and alcohol. No, it's a true story. I told her that later, you know. She was like, well, I wanted to get you off the streets. I said, Ma, I never smoked a cigarette until you sent me away to school. True story.
But what was the ambition at this time? Because it seems to me that when you're reading again about you, this again might be wrong. I mean, there's so much misinformation going around about you, Mr. Washington. That in fact, you had no real ambition. Your first ambition was to be a journalist, in fact.
When I started college, I went to college because my mother said, go to college. And, you know, that's what you do. And I figured, well, I'll be a doctor. And I took a course called chordate morphogenesis. At that time, not only could I not spell it, I couldn't even say it. So that cured me of being a doctor. Then I moved into political science, and I figured I'd be a lawyer. Then I began to study journalism. In fact, completed a major in journalism. And then I moved into theater. So I think I was working my way toward the arts without knowing it. I didn't have any examples. I never grew up.
Was there kind of a moment when you knew you wanted to be an actor? Was it just, you know, were you on stage for the first time or wherever it might be?
Yeah, my first two plays that I did was, I got the lead. In the first play I did Eugene O'Neill's The Emperor Jones, and the second play I did was Othello. And in college, and I got great response, and agents started calling and all of that, so I'm like, hey, I'll do it. This is for me. This is my call.
But did you find it easy? Do you find it natural to be on stage, to actually, do you enjoy it? Do you feel fulfilled by it?
I enjoy it. You know, I had enough sense, and I'd had a lot of training in other areas, athletics, to know that your natural ability can only take you so far. So I did a lot of studying after college and for 6 or 7 years, and I thought, you know, I'd be on Broadway one day and make $600 a week. That would be it. I mean, I never thought about the movies.
Yes, and you were a struggling actor, that's what you were.
Yeah, still am.
How tough was it?
Well, there were times I was ready to give up, you know. I mean, actually, I was a waiter. I wasn't an actor. I was, you know, doing odd jobs and whatever I could. And you know, in 1981, I got a play, and I got another job right after that. Then I went into a television series called St. Elsewhere, and I've been basically working since.
Well, what about the business of being a black actor in Hollywood? I mean, have there been any problems involved? Do you think of yourself as a black actor? Is there a special kind of category that you find yourself in? Or is it other people find you in that category?
Yeah, you know, I think there's a natural tendency to categorize. Oh, she's a teen idol. He's a black actor. She's a, you know, I think it's human nature to want to categorize. It's definitely tougher, especially in those days. There were less opportunities, but what can I complain about, really? Nothing.
But you had a mentor, didn't you, Sidney Poitier?
Sidney was, you know, he came and saw me in a play back in '81, and he said, "You're good." I said, "Thank you." But he was someone that I was able to call over the years. In fact, one year I was offered an awful film, but for a lot of money. And I was really sick about it, and I just wasn't sure if I should do it. And I called him up, and he told me, he said, you know, the first 3 or 4 films that you do will determine how you're perceived in this industry. So be real careful about what you choose, and if you don't feel good about it, then don't do it. I'm like, well, he's rich. Well, it's easy for him to say. You know? And I didn't do it. And in fact, 6 months later, I was in England. I was in London preparing to do Cry Freedom.
When you do something like Biko, I mean, how at that time in the 80s when apartheid was still on, did you feel a kind of weight of responsibility about what you were doing?
Well, not in a negative way. I mean, I did feel a sense of responsibility and a sense of honor. I mean, I was honored to be able to do it. As Mr. Attenborough met me in New York, and he says, "Look, I'm really looking for an African to play the part." but if I can't find one, then I'm going to hire you. I was like, okay, clicked my heels and ran out the door, you know, and he hired me later on. And I remember when I was first landing, and it was actually the first time I ever had a passport, first time I ever left the country, first time coming to London, first time going to Africa. And it was all brand new, so I was just nervous about the whole thing. I mean, yes, I felt the responsibility, but I also felt I was qualified.
And when you made that film Glory, which got you your first Academy Award, there again, that again was an important part of black history, wasn't it? This was the black soldiers who fought in the Civil War.
Right.
I wondered, what kind of research did you do for that? Do you go back to your ancestors, to the slavery, to all that sort of thing you read about?
We were staying in a hotel on the water in Savannah, Georgia. And next to it were these kind of curved, they looked like parking spaces. They used them to put cars in. They looked like little caves. And I walked around and I was looking around, and this old man came up to me and said, "Do you know what these were used for?" And I said, "No, parking cars." He says, "Well, no, in the old days, in slavery days, they'd bring the slaves in from the ship, the river was right there, and they would pile them up in these were actually the quarters that they kept them like housed in." And he showed me, we went inside, and you could still see the holes where they used to keep the hooks to chain them to the wall. So I started doing all my preparation in those caves. I would go in there and read my script. I'd go in there and play the part and work on the part, and I lived in there. In fact, I actually broke one of the hinges off. Don't tell anybody. I broke one of the hinges off that was from...
Kept it
I still have it.
As a souvenir. Yeah. Is it true also, I mean, I'm now presaging every question to you about, is it true, because it might not be, that a psychic...
I'm a black alcoholic.
Civil War. And that a psychic once predicted you would be an actor.
A woman who was said to have the gift of prophecy. I was flunking out of college, actually. The journalism wasn't working so well. So I was a black alcoholic who was flunking out of college. You, too, can be a great actor one day. Just drink, flunk out of college.
I like the story. The story gets better.
It gets better. And you'll meet us... this woman was
She's an old witch.
You'll meet an old witch. Just drink a lot. Don't go to school. Young people never go to school and drink. And you'll be as successful as I am one day.
Anyway. So there's this old crone.
This woman really...
I'm just thinking
just going down.
I'm just going down. Yeah.
No, this old woman, seriously.
Make it up.
I'll make it up. It doesn't matter now.
It doesn't matter.
No, she actually had. I was sitting in my mother's beauty parlor, in her beauty shop, and I was looking in the mirror, and I could see this woman sitting behind me under the dryer, literally. And every time I looked up, she was looking at me, and she said to my mother, she said, "Give me a pencil." And she says, "I have a prophecy," or whatever she said. She said, "You are going to preach." She said, "You're going to travel the world, and you're going to preach to millions of people." I said, "Well, am I going to get back into school next semester? Do you see anything there?" Jokingly, but this was March 27th, 1975. In September of 1975, I started acting. I went back to school, and not because she said so. I just thought about acting, and I don't know if I'm a preacher, but I have traveled the world and I have spoke to millions of people, so I guess in some ways she was right.
And not only have you got one film out, she was certainly right, because I mean, look at the catalogue of films you made. Now you've got 2 out at present, haven't you? You've got Manchurian Candidate out as well as Man on Fire, which is coming out later.
Yeah, in the States they came out kind of far apart, but for whatever reason they're coming out here close together.
And this is not, it's not just a remake of it, it's based on the idea of
the original.
And it's updated, and it's a good film as well. I enjoyed it.
That's what they say.
Then one other thing I have to ask you, just to get...
Please.
Right, no.
Anything else?
It's just this thing, I mean, and you can't deny this. I mean, you are a very sexy man in the sense that... You are constantly...
Oh, you shouldn't.
I know, not me. It's just the rest. No. It's just that, I mean, you constantly talked about it being a sex symbol. What do you feel when this is said about you, that you are a sex symbol and all that? Women lust after you.
One of my first teachers and mentors, you know, a guy by the name of Bob Stone, God rest his soul, he said, you know, if you're ever intimidated by anyone and when you're moving up in the business, and he also thought I would do well in the business, he said, just think about them sitting on the toilet with their pants down around their ankles. So for all of those that think of me as some sexy, super sex symbol, just imagine me.
That might go good.
And if you still think that that's sexy, then you have a real problem. You have a real problem.
Denzel Washington, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Denzel Washington. You wear all the gear I'd love to wear, but don't.
No.
You look wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Now, you wouldn't to be free to coach our England football team, would you? I mean, that's what they need.
Well, I don't know enough about that game yet. I've attended maybe 3 real football matches in my life, and they were all in Liverpool, so I don't know if that counts.
Our trouble is that our coach doesn't know much about the England football team either, but there we are. But that's another thing. I mean, it's a lovely, inspirational story, as I said, and a true story, too.
Yes, it is.
This did actually happen. There was a man who took over a team that was no good at all and coached them into an undefeated team, but at the same time separated the student from the athlete.
Well, he had the young men sign contracts before the basketball season started that stated that they would maintain a certain grade point average, they would go to all their classes, sit in the front row of those classes, wear ties on game days, and do community service also. And naturally, when they became the kings of the community, they figured they didn't have to do those things anymore. And Ken surprised them by holding up his end of the bargain, and he shut the team down and forfeited the games and sacrificed so that they would understand that they weren't always going to be basketball players, and some of them might not be good enough to be professional basketball players. And the only thing you have after those glory days is your education. And that will serve you better than any athletic skill you ever had.
And also, too, if you do make it, you need an education, too. You need a balanced view of what
you need to read the contract, for one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And know how to manage your money.
That's right. This wouldn't have made Mr. Carter a very popular man in the community, of course, because we're talking about a working-class community here,
A working-class community that was used to having a losing team, and all of a sudden they're winning. They feel good about themselves. People are envisioning their kids possibly getting professional basketball contracts, them getting out of the community, getting a big house, a new car. And when you take things away from people that make them feel good, they tend not to react very well. And he owned a couple of sporting goods stores, so they were breaking out the windows of his sporting goods store and dumping trash on his lawn and spitting on his car and just doing lots of things to him.
The other interesting aspect of the film that you bring out there, and we're going to show a little scene here to back it up, is this aspect we touched upon, which is the way that these kids play the sport. That they forget, and so do we as adults watching at times, that in fact it's an entertainment.
Yes.
That it's a game in the end, and that you have to keep a sense of perspective about this. It's all about being competitive, but there's a line across which you don't go.
Yeah, exactly.
Setting up this scene, your team now are very successful. They've gone from being losers to winners.
Yeah.
You're seeing things on the court you don't like.
Yeah, they're show-offs now.
Show-offs, here we go.
What's wrong with all of you? Since when is winning not enough? Playing hard not enough? No. You have to humiliate your opponent. Taunt him after every score. You won 4 games last season. 4! What gives you the right to take the game that I love with trash talk and taunting?
It's interesting, too, as part of that kind of lecture that you give your students, there's one other very strong scene, too, where you actually talk to them about the use of and I can't say the word, the N-word.
Yeah.
You can say it, I can't say it.
Yeah.
But it's a very powerful scene, actually, where you say, why do you use that word about yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what's your views about that?
That throughout the years, everybody tends to think that the more you use a word, the less you empower it. And that's not necessarily true. The word is used a lot in hip-hop culture and in a lot of films. My characters have used it. I've been embroiled in controversies with Spike Lee and Quentin Tarantino about it.
Are you embarrassed when you have to do it in the movie?
Not really. If it's something my character has to say and my character is part of a cultural phenomenon that is accepting and uses the word in the correct way or in a manner that is emphasizing a point, then it's part of a freedom of speech kind of context. But when you have young people, you have to make them understand that when you empower a word, you empower everyone else to use that particular word. So you can't lose your cool or be angry when somebody else says it or uses it to describe you.
Yeah. I mean, you grew up in a segregated area. You'd have been called that, wouldn't you? When you were
Oh,
growing
yeah,
up?
totally. I used to hear it, you know, yelled off the bus, screamed at me, or just as a, you know, how you doing, you know? Yeah, it was incredible. I would walk with my grandmother, and there was a little kid that lived across the street from me. They were a very poor white family, and this little kid, I guess he didn't know any better. He was 5 or 6 years old, and if I was walking down the street with my grandmother, he would actually speak to her very cordially and say, "How are you, Miss Nigger?" You know, and I would kind of like, my grandmother's go, "Leave him alone, don't bother him." You know, at least he said Miss. You know, it's kind of okay.
How careful did you have to be growing up as a child in a segregated area?
Well, you learn survival skills in Tennessee, and there are things that you can and can't do, things you can't and can't say. I remember vividly when I was maybe 8, 9 years old, sitting on the porch, and a young white woman was walking down the street, and I whistled at her. And before I could get the whistle out of my mouth, my grandmother, my aunt, and my mom were out the door, and they'd all snatched me in the house, and they all gave me a spanking and all told me what I'd done could get me killed. And I never did it again. But those are the kind of things that you have to learn.
But you see, what's interesting is you talk about that background of yours, and it wasn't too long ago either. We're not talking about the dim and distant.
We're talking, 40 years ago. Yeah.
If I'd have said to you 30 years ago, Samuel Jackson, from that background, that you will become one day what you are now, this huge star, your films have taken more money than any other film star, what would you have said to me?
I would have said you were crazy. It's not one of the professions that you could look at during that particular era and say you could do it and become successful at it, or it was even a possibility for me to fathom myself leaving Chattanooga, Tennessee and ending up in Hollywood, California, or even being on the stage right here tonight in the United Kingdom talking to you. It was just not something I could imagine. My future was either in medicine or education. Those were the jobs that I knew that were open to me. I could be a doctor, I could be a teacher, possibly a lawyer, but you know, not many other things than that.
But you see, again, I mean, it wasn't just the background you came from. I mean, of course, your family were a decent family. They supported you. You had that amount. But I mean, you also had a stammer too, didn't a stutter?
Yes, I do. I still stutter when I try and talk too fast.
But you talk fast all the time.
And
You're
I'm
famous
very
for it.
conscious of it.
Are you?
know, yeah, there are moments when I have some days when I can't say words that begin with W, and I have some days that I get stuck on words with T. And I actually had a year from my 4th grade until the 5th grade where I actually didn't talk very much at school because kids laughed at me because I stuttered so badly. I had the kind of stutter where I would get stuck on a word and it was kind of like, please! And they would just die laughing like you're doing now. And I would end up after school punching whoever was the first person that laughed at me. So I just stopped talking to avoid fighting a lot.
But when you went on stage, when you started movies, I mean, it disappeared, did it? Is that
Well, I guess because I can absorb myself in a character to the point that the character does not stutter. I've actually portrayed a character that did stutter, and it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do because it was hard for me to stop. And I've had teachers who stuttered that I couldn't have conversations with because when they stuttered, it made me want to stutter, and I didn't want them to think I was mocking them.
The other thing that's extraordinary, again, about this career of yours, is that it began, I mean, very well, you've always been working, you've always kept in work, but you're an addictive personality, and you're addicted to booze and addicted to drugs, and yet you work...
And women.
And women.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I forgot women, yeah. But the point is, I mean, how did you manage to work throughout all this crisis in your... Was there a moment, though, when you actually took stock yourself? Was there one thing that happened that made you say, hey, stand still now, let's change?
Well, the last time I got drunk and stoned, I had gone to a bachelor party. One of my best friends was having a bachelor party. And the bachelor party was in the afternoon for some reason. And we stayed in this bar from, I guess, noon until about 5 o'clock. And I've been drinking tequila all day. And I was drunk out of my mind. So I got a cab to go home in New York, and I said to myself, well, I better get some cocaine because I'm kind of drunk, and this cocaine will level me out. So I don't remember buying it, but apparently I did. And I went home and I cooked it because I was going to smoke it. I wasn't going to just snort it. I cooked it. And when I woke up, my wife, my daughter, and my mom happened to be visiting from Tennessee, were standing there in the kitchen. And there I was on the floor, and they were shocked to see the cooked cocaine on the table. I guess I bought some more beer and something else, too, because it was there, too. And nobody kind of knew that that was what was going on. And my wife called this best friend of mine that I'd grown up with, who was a drug counselor, and he was in Knoxville, Tennessee. And she called him, told him, and he talked to me on the phone, and I said, well, you know, I need to do something because I don't know what to do. And he called and got me a bed in this rehabilitation facility in upstate New York the very next day. And sitting there thinking about it, you know, once I got to rehab, I was kind of angry about it because I wasn't really ready to stop doing what I was doing. But taking stock of what had happened, of all my friends that had done some of the same things I'd done and gone on to be successful, I said, well, I've tried everything else. Maybe if I stop doing it and give myself a chance this way, maybe something will change. And inexplicably, when I got out of rehab, I ended up doing Jungle Fever.
Yes, it was about a crack addict.
2 weeks later, and it was about a crack addict, a guy who smoked cocaine, and I guess I'd done all the research, and I was kind of pretty good at it when it came down to it, and my life changed. So as a direct result of me going to rehab, I ended up starting to be a lot more successful almost immediately. So when people talk about relapsing, it never occurred to me because I always see a direct correlation between getting clean and success. And when I did have urges to maybe have a drink early on, I could always say to myself, now, do I want to drink or do I want the amount of money that's in the bank right now? Because I know if I start drinking, I'm going to drink up that amount of money and I'm going to smoke it up. So do I want to live like I'm living now, or do I want to go back to living like I used to live? And it's easy to make that decision. So I've never had, you know, a relapse, or I've never gone back. And I've pretty much gone past that part of my life. I like hanging out in bars with my friends, and I drink ginger ale and they drink and I don't want to drink. And, you know, drugs don't even come into the picture anymore.
It's interesting because you don't preach about it, do you?
No, not at all.
You don't join campaigns about it. So why is that? Because you had too good a time when you were on it?
Only because I had a great time. I had a great time for a very long time. So it's very difficult for me to tell people, you know, drugs will destroy you or drink will destroy you, because I have a lot of friends who still do drugs and they work. And I have a lot of friends who drink, but they don't drink the way I drank. I mean, I drank until everything was gone. When I went to the store and I bought 6 beers, I drank 6 beers. I didn't drink 1 and keep 4 for the rest of the week. No, I drank them until they were gone. Yeah. Or when I bought a bottle of wine, I drank it till it was empty. Or when I bought a bag of marijuana, I smoked it till it was gone. So there are people who can do those things, and they can do them in moderation. I just don't happen to be one of them.
But what do you tell your daughter?
I tell my daughter that alcoholism is a genetic disease, that all the men in my family died from alcoholism, but not the women. That's not to say that she doesn't have the gene that will make her do that. So I say to her, if you drink, and you drink to the point you don't remember what you did or where you've been, then you're an alcoholic and you need to check yourself. But if you can drink and drink in moderation and still have decent conversations, don't fall out, don't throw up, then you have an opportunity to be a successful person that drinks.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things now, I mean, you wouldn't find any time in your life to do anything other than work, because when we're talking about what your addiction that you've transferred it to now is your job.
Well, sort of. My job is one of them, golf is the other one. But, you know, I have the kind of job where there are a lot of people who have my job that are still addicts and still drink all day long because, I mean, out of a 12-hour acting day, if you're in a trailer, you probably work maybe an hour and a half out of a 12-hour day, because you go in and you work in 10-minute stints or 15-minute stints, and then you go back to your trailer for 2 hours while they set lights. Yes. So you have plenty of time to do wrong things.
Imagine if you're working on Star Wars, as you have been, with all those weird creatures, it would drive you to drink, wouldn't it?
Well, sometimes the first thing in the morning, you actually think you've had a drink when you walk in. You see all the faces and the tentacles and the colors on them. You know, I mean, there are actually some people that I've been in 3 Star Wars movies with that could walk on the stage right now, and I wouldn't know if they didn't have their masks on.
Well, what about, well, you mentioned golf there. I cannot since I last saw you,
Right.
you've got a hole in one.
Yes, finally.
In the terms of firsts, like first kiss or first romance or first whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How's it really?
Hole in one?
Yeah.
You know what? It's one of the most amazing feelings you can have because, I mean, you know like I know, that you're out there and you're toiling away for years and years and years, just hitting golf balls, and you finally get one. I've been close. I've had the ball roll by, almost go in. I've had it lip out, and it finally goes in. And the 3 guys I was playing with were talking. They didn't even see it. It always happens. I told them, I said, that went in the hole. And they all turned around and went, yeah, right. And they just kept talking. And sure enough, we got to the green, and there it was. But it's an amazing feeling. And as much as you want to say you did it on purpose, it's a total accident.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you're aiming at the green. You hope you hit it. And all of a sudden, you've done the thing that you've tried to do all that time. You've actually hit it from one point A to point B, and it went in the hole.
But
You know, and it's an amazing thing.
Samuel L. Jackson, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
How you feeling, man?
Good, man, good.
That was some entrance.
Wow,
Oh,
that was cool.
That was very good.
I saw the Scrotum Man.
You did not.
I was on the train in New York. I was on the train, and I said, oh my God, that guy looks like balls. I saw him, you know. I know that guy. He seemed like a nice man, though.
Oh, did you? No, it can't have been the same.
Kind of the same
no,
guy.
there's 2 balls.
Oh, twins.
Yeah.
Twins. His brother.
Okay, well, let's talk about this movie of yours again, which I mentioned, a nice romantic comedy. When you played part of a dates doctor.
Yes.
It's a modern-day Cupid.
And actually, we're not calling it a romantic comedy.
Comedy.
We're calling it a comedy romance.
If you've got off on the wrong foot, you know that.
Well, now think about it, right? See, if it's a romantic comedy,
Yes, all right.
right? And then, like, we're not gonna go out and have a beer and say, hey, let's go check out that romantic comedy tonight, huh? You know, so they call it a comedy romance, so, you know, guys can feel comfortable going without their girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's big, big Hollywood stuff, big Hollywood.
I know that.
Yeah, it's big, it's big time, it's deep psychology, it's a movie going.
It's too big for me, but I take your point. Anyway, it's both a comedy and it's romantic.
Yes.
Did you, I mean, you looked to me like you relished the part.
Oh, listen, I just, relish, ketchup, mustard, everything on this part. No, I think this is the character that I've played that is most like me, just a guy, like, I study male-female interaction. My wife, let me get that for you. Let me get that. No, really. Listen, I've got that effect on men, it's like, I get on the set and then stuff just start falling off,
I'm beginning to think on short acquaintance I can't live without you. So, go on.
Oh, but so like this character is so like me. I feel like always with my friends, I'm trying to help them to create Valentine's Day for their wife or their girlfriend or both. And I'm just, I am that guy. Like whatever is the #1 book that women are reading, I want to read it. I want to understand why.
Why?
Well, I was hurt when I was younger.
Oh.
No, it's true.
Really?
I was hurt. She broke my heart.
Who's this?
I told myself I wasn't going to go here on your show. No, but it's very similar to like the character that he was hurt in, and there was a girl, my first girlfriend, and she cheated on me. She cheated on me.
So.
You can send money to www.wilson. But I think that's what's great about the film. It's the story. We all have that same story. Someone broke our hearts and made it really difficult for us to deal with everyone that came after that person.
Yes.
But for me, the way that I responded, similar to the way that the character responded, is I wanted to be better. in order to that would never happen again. You know, I wanted to be the best lover, the best friend. I wanted to be the best at everything in order that, you know, a woman would never have a reason to hurt me that way again.
Did you succeed?
Well, I'm you know, in the love department. I gotta say, I'm quite the stud. No, you know, you never can totally succeed. It's something that you just have to commit to, and just every day I want to be better, and that's really where my wife and I connect. That every day we want to be better than we were yesterday.
In practical terms, your wife. I mean, how do you romance her still? Her birthday recently, for instance. I mean,
oh right, like well, what it is? February 19th is our anniversary. That was the day that she said she fell in love with me. So it was kind of our first date, and she said she knew that day. So we celebrate February 19th as our anniversary. And this February 19th just passed. You know, I was out of town, so I had a bunch of roses on the floors in the house. I said I didn't want there to be an empty place for her to walk in the house that she wasn't walking on rose petals. So I had rose petals put all over the house, and she was awakened by a violin serenade. You know, so.
Fantastic.
Isn't that lovely, eh? Wouldn't that do it for you, Julie? He's done it for me.
Oh, he's done it, I know, hasn't he? Oh,
couldn't
it's
resist
cool.
that.
How long have you been married?
We've been married for 7 years. We've been together for 10 years.
All right,
Yes.
that's pretty good.
But I did find myself uncontrollably attracted to you.
I felt it.
It's like, you know.
He was watching that video, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was seeing you saw
dance.
that the dance video, the stockings, and you know. I was like,
What is it? Just clear up one thing for me, because I read in the papers this week about your marriage and saying that you favour open marriage. Is that true?
well, no, you can't believe everything that you read. What it was is that what I said is our relationship is based on 100% truth. So I said, hypothetically, if I was in a situation where I wanted to sleep with another woman, like, for example,
Well,
you know,
tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah.
You know, that I said I would call my wife and I would say, you know, honey, you know, Jules and I are 100%, we're attracted to one another.
Yeah.
And, you know, is it, you know, something that you'd be okay with? Now, you know, not that she would say yes, but I'm not going to cheat. Like, I'm not the type of guy that she'll find out in the Inquirer, you know, that I was going to do something. I was just saying that hypothetically, the level of honesty in our relationship is such that if it were that serious, it's not something that either one of us would just do and destroy a relationship. It's something that we would talk about because we're going to be together, period. So
you ain't contemplating that at all?
No, not. I was saying hypothetically.
You said you were.
Well, I mean, now, listen. Now, Jules, there is a thing called discretion.
What are you laughing at anyway?
We're on TV. We're on television. We're gonna tell everybody, you know.
Yeah, that's
baby.
true.
Come on, settle down, baby.
Listen, let's have a look at a clip from the film. Because part of your instruction to these guys who don't know how to date a woman is dance. You say that women actually fall in love while dancing.
Well, the thing that women equate the dance to your sensuality.
To sex.
You know, so it's very important that, you know, they don't see you. Come on, baby, come on. You want all this man? Can you handle all this man? You know, it's like that's not going to work. You know.
Well, that's the theme actually of the clip. It's a very, very funny clip. A lovely moment from the film. Here we are.
This is where you live. Right here. This is home. Right it is. You don't see none of that. Don't you bite your lip. Stop it. Women relate dancing to sex. All right? Even a great dancer can lose it with one of these.
That's a great scene. That's a lovely, lovely scene. How on earth... it makes me feel very old watching that kind of scene, because the kind of dancing that they do nowadays bears no relation to dancing I used to do.
Well, yeah, it's a little different.
Well, it's a lot different. And the thing that's basically very different is that when I was learning how to dance, I mean, the worst thing was crossing the dance room floor to ask the girl. That was the worst thing.
Oh, yeah. That's still the worst thing.
Is it? And when you say, can I have this dance, she says, no, with my mate.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, that's tough. That's tough.
That's tough. But then you take her in your arms, you see. You did in my day.
Here, show me.
I will. You see, and if a squeeze of the...
That's good, yeah. So that's,
by the pressure and the cheek to cheek. What are you laughing at?
I'm just having a laugh.
Yeah, I know. you could get some notion of whether you're onto it or not.
Well, you could get a notion if they put the tongue down your throat.
Oh, this is...
Yeah, that'll pretty much tell.
But what I can't get out, so I understand that. But how do you do it when you're sort of standing up and doing the old... That sort of...
No, all right. Hold on. Give me it right here. Right in there. Right? So it's kind of like this. You know, so it's kind of... You know, so I come in and ask you to dance, you know, so we start dancing, so then it's like... That's like saying, baby, what you want? Baby, what you want?
I'm not cut out for it.
We should go out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're looking at a world record holder, of course, because you this week you broke the world record for attending 3 premieres in one day, didn't you? You did Birmingham, London, and Manchester.
Yeah. So we did the Manchester premiere at 1:30. We did the Birmingham premiere at 4 o'clock, and then we did London at 7. And you know, then I went to sleep. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Then the Guinness Book they came out and they gave me a certificate and everything. It's a world record. I'm like, I was like, yeah, okay, a world, yeah, more premieres than anybody, yeah.
But let's talk about the acting career a bit, because it's interesting. Because you got an Academy Award nomination for portraying a man who I had 1 or 2 run-ins with in my career, and that was Muhammad Ali. It was an extraordinary portrayal. I mean, in many ways, you must have imagined yourself that it was an impossible job when they came and asked you.
Absolutely. I mean, any aspect of that film is more than enough work for one movie. If it's just learning how to box. You know, it was a 1.5 years of physical training to learn how to box. And that would have been enough to have to learn for one movie. But then there was the concept of the 60s in the United States that, you know, I'm a child of rap music and the 90s. And essentially we're reaping the benefits of what happened in the 60s. And I really couldn't understand that type of segregation and that type of blatant racism. So that was difficult to understand. And then the dialect, you know, trying to understand, you know, trying to get the man's voice right, you know, and all them things. It was just very, very difficult. You know?
You obviously spent time with him, of course.
Oh yeah, we spent a lot of time together.
And what kind of relationship did you have with him?
You know, he personally asked me to do the film, and you know that was a shock and an honor. And you know, I said to him, you know, I was like, Champ, what, you know, why me? Why do you want me to do it? He said, because you're the only person that's almost as pretty as me.
And you actually, I believe, you watched the first showing of the film with him, didn't you?
Oh wow, that was
something.
I was sitting next to Ali and his whole family. So I'm in the middle of Ali's whole family at the screening. So I'm sitting there, and at one point he leans over to his wife while we're watching the movie, and he said, girl, why you ain't tell me I was so crazy? So I was like, all right. So he was enjoying it, and now after the film, he told me that he was honored, and his family was very happy, and it was emotional for them. So it was a year and a half of really hard work that paid off.
One of the things you got there was, and not many of us do get the chance, is a privileged insight into the world of boxing.
Absolutely.
And never mind the man himself, because we've got no idea how fit these guys are.
Oh, I mean, boxers are in the best shape of any athlete.
Anybody.
It's the thing to be able to go 10, 12, 15 rounds with someone punching at you. Because I had an experience when I was boxing that guaranteed my career as an actor. Like that the boxing world was going to be free from Will Smith. Michael Bent played Sonny Liston in the movie. So I was having a problem that, I was scared, so I was leaning back too much. And my trainer kept saying, man, lean in. You got to get your spine angle forward. So just at the time that I committed to getting my spine angle forward, it was just at the time that Michael Bent decided that he was going to throw a heavy right hand. So I leaned in and I saw it coming, so I put my head down. And the punch hit me square on the top of my head, but it didn't fly my head back. It compressed my head down onto my shoulders. I felt an electrical shock, like as if someone had taken and put on the edge of my neck, and it went down the back of my spine and to both elbows. And I had an uncontrollable desire to find my car keys. So I'm very certain that I did not want to be punched for a living.
I did a nice spar with Joe Frazier.
Really?
That's exactly the same thing, yeah.
Wow, you got hit?
He playfully flicked me. And I had bells in my ears for 3 days. And the fact is, then I saw him that great fight with Muhammad Ali in Madison Square Garden, where those two guys were made for each other, weren't they? I mean, and the damage they did to each other. I mean, Ali's trainer told me that he actually passed blood in his water for 3 weeks after.
Yeah,
well, that's the damage they do. And what you come to conclude, you must have found this too, is that anyone serious blow from those guys you were training with, they'd have killed you, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, no, you'll just die.
I mean,
you'll
you
just
just
die.
die.
You'll just out. It's just over. It's just gone.
But I mean, there was another dimension to Ali, which you mentioned there, and that was a political dimension as well. I mean, and he was, when all's said and done, there's a lot of questions about Ali, a lot of stuff, but nonetheless, he was a very brave man. He took on the government for what he believed to be right.
Absolutely.
But I mean, you must have faced that as well yourself, haven't you, when you were growing up? I mean, you can't have been that removed from it.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I've had experiences with racism, and hearing the word from police and dealing with those situations. But being a child of the 90s, we have a thing that's called internal affairs, which is essentially the police that police the police.
Right.
So as a child of the 90s, when we deal with that with a police officer, we go right to internal affairs and report the officer, and that kind of wasn't an option really in the 60s. And
yes.
I talked to Geronimo Jajiga, who was formerly Geronimo Pratt of the Black Panthers, and I interviewed him for Ali. And what he said that was really interesting, he said the perspective is that we were at war, that there was a civil war going on in the United States, and that essentially gave the spark in my mind that it was more of a war scenario. Ali viewed the situation with the American government in the same way that he viewed being in the ring. It was a fight. He was being aggressed upon, and he had to win or die. And that really gave me the insight into how he was dealing with these situations and approaching the government.
Politically, did he make a difference, do you think, Will? Did he?
Oh, absolutely.
Did he?
Absolutely. The thing that Ali did, and generally you can always tell about someone's political power by the children, how the children are reacting, and how the children, meaning 12 and down, are responding and reacting. And Ali became that guy. Ali became the guy that kids wanted to be. They wanted to be able to fight. They wanted to be able to stand up. They wanted to be able to make a difference. And, for me, part of the bittersweet part of the bittersweet concept of playing the role was that I got to sit next to and speak with and define and quantify greatness, knowing that life would probably never deal me the cards to be able to determine whether or not I'm that great.
Yes.
You know, and there's that desire, but just am I that much man? What would I have done?
Yes.
What would I do today?
And you met Mandela, and exactly the same feelings must have
Absolutely.
been with him as well. I mean,
Absolutely.
How would you have reacted to that kind of situation? Would you have had that forgiveness in your heart? That
You
he
know,
had?
absolutely. And I think we all want it.
Well,
we all think that
yeah.
you know, we want it, but we don't really want it.
So you two have not met before, have you?
Let me tell you something.
Go.
We haven't met each other, but I actually met him earlier today, and just how great is this guy right here? And like I tell you, we sit, and when I was, you know, young musician, and we used to just ponder that word, guilty feet have got no rhythm. How crazy. And to me, it blows my mind. And next to
Someone
to the man,
earlier
you know.
today told me that was the first record you ever fornicated to. So.
It might be. Are my feet guilty?
My response was, well, actually, I know for a gay man I've done a lot for procreation in my time.
That's good, I think.
Well, I mean, of all the things you do, I mean, there's so many things that you do, so talented in so
Thank
many
you.
areas.
Thank
I mean,
you.
was music, was that the first choice?
Music was my first thing. It's like my grandmother made me, you know, learn the piano, and at a time when she said it was, you know, sissy stuff. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, so I can't drive.
No. But you know what? I always tell, especially for young kids, learning music, it was like I was 5 years old. I was able to read music, so it helped me with my reading and helped me with everything. So like by the time I got to be like, you know, in junior high, when it became cool, because I would listen to songs like Lionel Richie and things like that and be able to play it. So I found out that the girls liked it when you were able to play the piano. So it wasn't, you know, all sissy stuff. You know?
Did music play a large part in your love life?
Yeah, I think it does. I think with everybody, especially like with music. I mean, because music really sets the tone. When you hear like a Luther Vandross, like, I want to tell you, baby. I mean, the minute you hear that, you're ready to do something. You're ready to do something.
That's so true. My wife is a classical musician. She's a clarinetist. And I tell you, every once in a while we go dum, 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 dum.
Yeah. Wow.
So were you a Ray Charles fan?
Ray Charles fan because of the fact that Ray Charles was so close to church music.
Yeah.
And Ray's classic style of what we were used to before the movie was, you know, of course, America and some of the things in Georgia, but some of his older records were like fantastic, and they were edgy at the time because, like, me being a black kid from the South, and you know, church was, you know, this little light of mine. And to see Ray take that and flip it into R&B, it was, you know, it was groundbreaking at the time. So I was definitely a fan.
I mean, when you came to get the part in the movie, which won you the Oscar, you must have been, because I certainly was looking at the research. You must have been sort of aware of the similarities that there were between you through your life. I mean,
I didn't know all of it until I actually got into the piece and we found out we were from kind of the same background as far as being from the South, having our, you know, someone else raise us as far as a grandmother or a parent there. Right. But it was a lot of similarities, and it was just amazing to be able to meet Ray Charles and find out all these things. And when he walked in, it was something about, I'm nervous. And he comes in, and I said, Mr. Charles, I want to play you as best I can. And he goes, hey, you know what, man? If you could play the blues, you could do anything. And so we sat there and we played the blues with each other on dual pianos. And it was mind-blowing. And then I hit a wrong, he moved into Thelonious Monk, which is, you know, is very, 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 you know, intricate. And then I hit a wrong note, and he stopped. Hey, why would you do that? And I was like, oh, man, you know, I just hit the wrong note. He said, well, it's right underneath your fingers, man. I mean, it's right there. It's under your fingers. And I'm like, I'm trying to get it. But basically, he was given a metaphor that life is really the notes under your fingers, and you have to, you know, take your time out to get the right notes to play your music. Now, once I got the notes, he stood up. Hey, the kid's got it. And he took off, and he basically he John Wayne'd it. He walked off into the sunset because at that time I didn't know that he was, you know, he was sick.
He was dying.
And he was dying, and he said, I think the kid can do it, and he went away. We went and finished the film, and he got a chance to see it in all of his entirety, like 5 hours of it, and he loved it.
But it's a heck of a responsibility, of course, playing somebody who was alive and who's a legend more than that as well.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's to do it not like the impersonation. Everybody knows, Georgia, you know, Georgia. But it was the small things of the way he ordered his food or the way he talked on the phone or the way he controlled his business. And I didn't have a lot to research on as far as that was concerned because Ray Charles was older, you know, and it was more slowed down. So I talked to a guy by the name of Quincy Jones. Oh, yeah. And Quincy Jones, oh yes, man, Ray, man, he was really something else, man. You know, I have this cassette tape, man, if you'd like. I'll let you hear that. I was like, cassette tape? When am I gonna play a cassette tape? So he gives me a cassette tape, and this is some of the research that we did. On the cassette tape, it said, hi, this is Dinah Shore from the Dinah Shore Show, and we have two very wonderful musicians, Mr. Kenny Rogers and Mr. Ray Charles. And in the background, you hear Ray go, hello. You know, Dinah, I'm so happy to be here. And his voice is very high. He was young, you know, he was vibrant. So I took that and used that to kind of like modulate his voice through the movie because we didn't want to play him old the whole movie. And then something interesting as I listened further on the tape, Dinah mentioned the drugs. You know, Ray was in the drugs. And the minute she said, talk about the drugs, Ray, he stopped. And he started to stutter. So I took that and used it sort of a DNA that every time he came up against some type of conflict or he knew he was wrong in the movie, he stuttered. If a woman said, you're doing me wrong, Ray, you know, that thing. And so we used that to kind of like, you know, thread the man Ray Charles as opposed to the impersonation.
It's extraordinary, this sort of creation, building of a character, isn't it? Well, what about the blindness, of course? Because, again, I mean, you didn't just close your eyes, did you, and pretend you were blind?
As a matter of fact, my makeup artist is here. I don't know, Lalette Littlejohn, she developed this thing where they would, like, put these prosthetics over my eyes where I was actually blind the whole time we shot, for the majority of the movie, because I didn't want to cheat. And when you really are blind, you really kind of go inside yourself. And it worked two ways. It worked good and bad. Good for the part, but bad for people working on the set because they forgot that I was blind at times. And they would go, and that's lunch. And I'm sitting there like... I'm really not Ray Charles. I really need to get somebody, you know. So, you know, it was good for that, but it really made the character, I mean, all of the music sounded more rich. It sounded more intense. It really developed
your hearing.
It developed the hearing. I never forget, you know how when you were doing a movie, they measure sometime, and the guy tapped me on the head, and it seemed like it was like, you know, this like a strong, forceful hit. And it really intensified everything.
Fantastic performance. I thought it was amazing.
It was an extraordinary performance, and also too. I mean, it is an extraordinary story. I mean, I hadn't realised, and I was a huge and am a huge Ray Charles fan. Quite the part he played in advancing the black cause in America. I mean, there's that bit in the film where he was the first artist to actually refuse to play to a segregated audience.
Yeah, because in the States, especially during the 60s, it was a very volatile time. You look at what happened in 1968, people were being assassinated. It was a lot of things going on. For him to make that stand, and he was basically a country guy. You know, the South was everything. It was his money. He was taking a chance when he said, I won't play for segregated audiences. My music is for everybody. I'm blind. I can't see anything anyway. So what do I care if a person is black or white, green, red, wherever he comes from? So it was very profound, but he took a chance because he was, you know, like I said, he was cutting his arm off as far as the money was concerned. He couldn't go back. He couldn't go back to the South. And then Quincy Jones came and told him, you should go over the pond, man. Go to London, go to Germany, Europe, because here, and what I've noticed too is that, you know, you embrace everything. You really embrace music, which was fabulous. So that's what he had to do. So he had a long journey of going elsewhere in order to be, you know, accepted by his own.
Wasn't that the same thing for Billie Holiday? She had a much easier time over here. She got a lot of problems in the States.
It seemed that at that time we all had better times over here because, I mean, slavery in America is 500 years of that. And when you look at slavery, you don't look at it, you know, we look at it as this ugly thing. you know. But slavery was actually a business. I mean, it was cotton and it was building the country. So a lot of that residue, which I call it residue, a lot of people say slave mentality, I say it's just residue. People hadn't got beyond that yet, you know, seeing us in certain places, keeping us in certain places. So, you know, Ray Charles and Billie Holiday and these musicians, the easiest thing in the world is to do it with music. Because once you hear your favorite song, everybody wants to say, YMCA. Whatever.
Not everybody.
It's amazing. In my lifetime, how all that's changed, or has it changed that much? You mean
Has it changed?
From your perspective?
As far as race is, I mean, everything that I think about when I grew up as a kid. Now here's the thing: I grew up in Texas, you know, so you know the railroad tracks separated the blacks from the whites, and I think it's where you go in order to find differences. Now, growing up in Texas, it was tough. You know, I was called all types of different names, and I'll never forget I played the piano for this Christmas for Christmas for this guy at his house, this big, you know, rich white guy, and I go to play, and he said he can't have two black individuals in his house at the same time, and he used the N-word, and it was because me and my friend, we showed up at the same time, and it kind of blew my mind because I was like, well, you know, I'm only 15, man. I'm just here to play for the Christmas party. It's supposed to be Christmas, so it kind of troubled me. But as you move out to where artists are, like when you go to Los Angeles, California, where people are in Hollywood and art is the main thing. I went to a college, International University in San Diego. It was 81 different countries. Yeah. So in order for you to be prejudiced, you would be exhausted because you don't know who anybody is. You look at them, hey, what's up, brother? It was like, he's from Venezuela. This person is from Laos. I mean, where is that? You know, and so it is still there. You still fight it all the time, but. Like I said, with Ray Charles and with that movie and with what he does, it's always breaking it up. And
whereabouts in your priority of things now is music? I mean, you're promoting your record now.
Yeah, the music is the thing, and like I said, I performed a couple of nights ago, you know, in front of a crowd who really didn't know all of the album, everything. It was a great, receptive crowd, and in the balcony it was Sade listening. So that was just, you know, that was mind blowing for me. Yeah. So like right now, the music is the thing.
Right, and on the album, I mean, the songs are romantic.
Yeah. Because I believe in music is either get you in the club or get you in the bedroom, and this one definitely get you in the bedroom. Yeah.
And maybe in the club as well. But
occasionally in the car.
Jamie Foxx, it's been a delight talking to you, and all the best with the album. Jamie Foxx.
Thank you.
But first, one of the great and endearing and enduring all-rounders of British entertainment. In a career lasting 30 years, he's been a comedian, impressionist, actor, and all-action adventurer. Not content with that, he's gone back to school, university, in fact, to study for a degree. I think he's up there, isn't he? Ladies and gentlemen, Lenny Henry!
Here we are.
Again.
It's very nice to have a black man on ITV for a change. Because usually it's Trisha and Trev, isn't it?
Yeah. You're the quota.
I'm the quota,
You're
yes.
the quota for this.
I'm the bloke from the Halifax ad.
That's right, exactly.
You can't get served in the Halifax, you know, nowadays. They're all doing auditions for West End plays.
What were you doing up there that they were laughing?
Nothing, I wasn't doing anything.
Yes, you were.
I wasn't. I was just waving at him over the thing.
I mentioned there that you've gone back to university.
Hold on a minute, I've got to celebrate the new set. Ooh. Ah. Ooh, Michael.
Does it feel like money?
Very nice to be on ITV, Michael, you know what I mean? Nice set, carpet on the walls, everything. Designed by a blind Mexican on crack. Look at this.
really rude
lovely
about my set.
This is why you get the big bucks, Michael. Look at this. Don't you feel like you want to go, ooh, wow? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful set.
Thank you. I'm glad you... And you feel at home in it?
I feel lovely. Look at you in that brown suit. You look like a cigar. Now, could you crack on, because I've got a car waiting.
All right, fine. You know, Dawn said it to you.
Dawn said, be sensible.
That's right.
Be quiet. She said, go on, Parkinson, and be sensible for once.
No, so this is about going back to school to get a degree. Why?
I'm doing an open university degree. Because I left school when I was 16 years old. And it's really weird because suddenly I was thrust into the spotlight and I had to learn how to be in show business. So I spent from 16 to 21 doing that and getting tin fruit thrown at me and stuff like that, you know. And get off and having compere saying, we've got a young coloured lad coming on the stage right now, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I'm backstage like this. And so I did that for years and years and years. And I've sort of neglected my whole education.
Yeah.
So I was doing a summer season with Cannon and Ball. Thank you, once again, thank you. I was doing a summer season with them too, and I decided to do my O-levels. And I did it in 12 weeks, and I thought, wow, that was fantastic. So recently, after my mum passed away, actually, I thought, do you know what? I think I'm gonna try and do all the things that I've stopped myself from doing because I was working or too busy or scared. And the first thing I did was I thought, I'm going to do my English literature degree. I love reading, I love books, and I love the idea of learning.
Yeah.
And so I decided to write away to Open University, and they wrote back and they sent me this fantastic list of things that you could do, anything, you know. And so I thought, I'll do the English literature course. And it was wonderful, and it was so brilliant. And I think, you know, first of all, I think that, you know, maybe I should have not looked out the window when I was at school, but actually, when you're a grown-up, you actually appreciate it more and you want to do it.
You're doing Shakespeare?
Yes, I am,
This year, your Shakespeare year.
Yeah, it's very hard, because I don't understand, you know, Shakespeare very well. I do it in the show, and I think it'd be... Because the people that do Shakespeare aren't the people that I look up to, you know. I would have liked it if Barry White had... Wouldn't it have been good if Barry White had done a sonnet? You know, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Feels so good. Oh, babe, thou art more lovely and more temperate.
What about doing your homework? Do you do it with your daughter?
I try and do my homework with my daughter, but I get very annoyed with her because she's brilliant, my daughter. But she doesn't... When a grown-up does homework, they kind of... He's quite methodical, you know, but my daughter treats homework like a buffet. You know, she browses, she'll do a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and she'll go off to the kitchen and get some drinks, and then she'll go and do a bit more of that, and she's like, you know, picking at what she wants to do, then she stops. After about 20 minutes, you can't stop now, you've got to get to the end. Oh, Daddy. That's me, Daddy. So it's interesting to watch her learning. I'll try and encourage her, though, as much as I can to get it done
But
now.
they've got so much to distract them, haven't they, nowadays, kids? I mean, you know, they've got... I mean, when you and I were sort of kids, I mean, what distracted you? You were like girls or... You know, I mean, you had to go to a youth club to meet them. I mean, nowadays, we've got all the mechanical means at their disposal.
Yes,
the mobiles, the texting.
You can text. But the thing about texting, which is good, is you can't see the acne. You can just text and... I am very good looking. I don't understand the texting. It's rubbish, isn't it? Because I've got a website, lennyhenry.com, and sometimes when I do Beyonce and things like, and 50 Cent on the television show, I suddenly get all these 12-year-old kids write into my website, and they don't write in English. They write, it was good listening to Beyonce. Are you couldn't do anymore? Who are these kids? Learn to spell!
What about your daughter? I mean, how old is she now?
She's 13.
13. So she come to that age now where you're going to be guarding the door and betting all the boys who come to the house.
She's 13, Michael. What are you on?
So you're getting to that age. She's getting to...
Actually, doing in the dressing room before I introduce Lenny. Yeah, well, there's going to be boys soon. Is that right, ladies?
Absolutely.
She's 13. I can't... Well, see, in my house, that's not going to happen.
It's not?
Because they're going to come to the door and go, oh, Miss Henry is brilliant, no? I'm going to turn into a Jamaican parent. She don't steer tied up in the cellar. What do you want with her? You're going to see her when she's 45. She'll be like that. She's not going anywhere. I'm going to be the dad at the disco. I'm going to be... You know, she's going to be in Ibiza going... Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'll be the day, yeah, you carry on. We're going home at 10:30. It just started. Shut up, the engine's running. Hey, babe, you want to dance? You're going to have to match my dad. No. Get in the boot, I'm taking you home.
What was it? I mean, how different was it when you were a teenager? I mean, what about your courting days?
I didn't. Well, it was so hard. We didn't have any texting or anything.
No.
It was difficult because I had the acne, and I had the platforms, and the trousers with the pockets here, and the high waistband and the tank top, and the big collars that you could land Concorde on. I looked terrible, and I had the afro. So with the afro and the platforms, I was 8 feet tall. Kept hitting my forehead when I walked in the room. I was really shy. I was like this. Everything was like this. And it was just, I couldn't talk to girls, you know. And there was this one, my first ever kiss was amazing.
In what sense?
It was, well, it was just, it was with this girl called Glenys. And Glenys. And she was posh because she lived in a council house that was detached. And we were on the coach on the way to Briley Hill Baths with the school, and she sat next to me on the coach, and she kissed me. She just turned to me and she started snogging me, you know. And she did it 3 or 4 times, and then she sort of, you know, did this. And I was planning, you know, marriage and, you know, picket fence with the, you know, the front garden. And then on the way back from the bath, she was snogging Mickey Coleman. It was really weird.
Now, what about you've just come back from Australia and New Zealand, where you've been touring?
I really enjoyed it. Fantastic tour. Because you get to, you know, we arrived in a long flight. It's such a...
it's
so
the worst
far.
part of it. It's terrible.
25 hours on a plane, that's not fair.
It's not
just
right.
far. No. They shouldn't call it Australia, they should just call it far. No wonder people immigrate there. They can't be bothered to come back. Oh, I'll just stay. I'm not going back. Australia, it was and everybody's... We're all very close, the British community. The British entertainment community are incredibly close in Australia. Because when we get there, when we see each other, we're really pleased to see each other because it's so far away from home. So I meet people in Australia that I never see. Jamie Cullum, you know Jamie Cullum.
I do.
Little bloke, sleeps in a matchbox. Jamie Cullum, I kept seeing him at the Sydney Pier 1 Hotel. He was like, Lenny, it's lovely to see you. I love you, Lenny. It's so far, isn't it? Can I sleep in your room tonight? Jamie Cullum, every time I saw him, he'd jump on my hand and have a conversation with me. I'd let him lick my face.
Now, you're coming back here... Well, while you're back here, you're going to go on the road again, aren't you?
I'm going on
with
tour.
With this tour. Now...
So much things to say.
Well, I mean, of all the things that you do, I mean, you've been this sort of action adventurer.
Yes.
Spectacular. Never again. Yeah. You've been a comedian, impressionist, writer, all these things, earning your degree now. But basically what you are, you're a stand-up comic, aren't you?
I like being a comic. I love doing my job. I love doing this show because I think it's it's a unique... Because normally comedians bung a load of their best routines together and go out and do them. And with this show, we decided to try and write something that we, you know, wanted to do with a bit of an ending and have a bit of intent behind it. It's political. It has stuff about the war in Iraq, Bush and Blair, their relationship. It's got 5 new characters that you wouldn't normally see on a stage anywhere. Mr. Lister's in it, who was in the TV show. My name is Mr. Lister, this is my shop. It's a convenience store. Well, it's convenient for me, it's only downstairs. You know, it's got various characters in it, and they all have something to say about what's going on in the world today. Right. And this is a big step forward for me. I've never done a show like this before.
So you're touring the country?
I'm touring all over the country. Right. I'm doing a big tour. Going to Manchester. I'm going to Hackney Empire. I'm going to Woking. They love me there. Quite a conservative town. You know, when I walk on stage, they go, oh, please don't hurt us.
Wherever you go, you've been very welcome. Lenny Henry.
Thank you.
Welcome. I think a lot of Arsenal fans in tonight, quite obviously. Now, when I watch you play, and I'm a great admirer of yours, it seems to me that you're such a natural player, that football is just part of you. Was that always the same? Were you always born to be a footballer, in a sense?
Well, I don't know if I was born to be a footballer, but when my dad took me in his arm for the first time, that's what he said. He said that I was going to be a football player. So maybe it was meant to be, I don't know, but I just love the game. So when I'm on the pitch, I just try to do what I do, even if I was in the back of a house or in a park. I just want to play football and just make people enjoy it.
But how old were you when your father picked you up and said you're going to be a footballer?
Oh, I was just born. Just didn't.
You were just a kid.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Before he said you're lovely, he said you're going to be a footballer.
Yeah, he didn't even say, well, I have as you can see, a big mouth, or maybe whatever, I look like him or look like my mom. No, he thought straight away about football. So there we go.
Let's talk about the area you were born in, because that was a tough neighbourhood, wasn't it? And we've seen recently all the trouble there's been in these estates around Paris, and you were born in one of them, weren't you?
Yes.
That's where you grew up?
Yes, it was pretty tough at the time, but I had a chance to have good parents. Yes. So I didn't understand at the time why I wasn't allowed to stay outside and do whatever my friends were doing outside. I thought they were the bad guys, my parents, and I soon realized that they were trying to protect me. It's not easy out there when you grow up in a bad neighborhood, because you kind of feel like you're not into the system. You're there, but you're kind of thinking you're out of it, and you're living in a kind of a second zone, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
People don't look at you the same way, or don't treat you the same way when you come from there.
And the problems about getting work and things like that, I suppose that's a problem as well. The discrimination against you in that sense.
Well, it's strange to use the word discrimination still in 2005. It's just like when you go out there and try to find a work, even if you have like all the diplomas that you need to have to get the job, people just like sometimes hear the town that you come from, or unfortunately sometimes hear your name or see the way you look, and sometimes they don't give you the job, and then sometimes it's not the way, it wasn't a good way to respond the way the kids are responding in Paris. But sometimes, when enough is enough, you're showing, your, in a bad way, maybe like they're doing, your anger. And, it's just a way to say that enough is enough, because when you arrive in this kind of situation, you try to have a job and you try to go into the system and people try to keep you out of it. Then sometimes the only way to make people realize that you exist is that, doing this kind of stuff, even though I don't agree with it, because actually they're destroying where they are living.
Well, I mean, what we're seeing is a form of racism, and what we're seeing is an explosion, a protest against that form of racism. Now, you've used your fame in football to actually address the problem of racism in football. But first of all, let's establish your own personal experience of that. I mean, what has been the worst thing that's happened to you in football? What has been the worst example of racism against you?
Well, unfortunately, it does happen quite often when you go to play away in the Champions League, sometimes in Eastern European countries, which is they are not used sometimes to see people from other countries or different colors or believing in other things that they want to believe. It's just sometimes you need to know the background of people to understand why they're like that. But sometimes it's pretty tough on the pitch when you hear what you hear, and when people spit at you. It's a bit going too far for a game.
So you hear about the monkey chants?
Yeah, the monkey chants. Once we were playing away, and then some people in the crowd were spitting on me, and I went up to see the ref, and I said to the ref, I showed him all the spits on my shirt, and he basically looked at me and said, "What do you want me to do?" You're laughing about it, but I wasn't at the time. But once again, it's if you do react, then you're going to be again the bad footballer earning this amount of money, and then you don't behave properly on TV. I think sometimes people has to understand that we are human beings, and sometimes things, they hurt when you hear them.
Have you ever felt like walking off the field?
No, because I just think that the game doesn't have to suffer of it. At the end of the day, because that won't be a good thing for the game. I think people who have to deal with this kind of situation should deal with them, but that shouldn't be the answer to work out the pitch, because I love the game and I wouldn't do that because I love it too much.
But what about if everybody, all the players walked off? I mean, in support. And if you did walk off as a team and say, no, we're not going to play in front of you like you're yours, you know, that would surely have it, because it is a minority, and the majority might then take action.
True, you're right, but I still see it in a way that, you know, football shouldn't suffer of it. I know it can be a solution. For example, what happened in the game England against Spain away. People were suggesting that they should have walked out of the pitch, but...
I mean, you mentioned there Spain. I mean, it was Aragonés, that's his name, the coach of Spain. He called you a black shit. And he also he said terrible things about your mother. He's the coach of the national side.
Maybe he doesn't have a lot of vocabulary in his local. When I first heard of it, I thought it was a joke, to be honest. I remember we were on national team and someone came up and told me that, and I just went, yeah, right, you know, you're having a laugh, and, you know, I was just like, and then I saw it on TV, and I still thought that was a joke.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought that was like, you know, those kind of TV shows sometimes that you have tried to catch you on certain stuff. So even though I thought that would have gone a bit too far, but, you know, you never know. But once everyone came up to talk to me about it, I was just amazed. And, you know, and once again, people, you know, above or should be dealing with stuff didn't deal with them. So
no, they didn't. He's still the national coach.
Well, I mean, like I said to you, sometimes you try to find out history of people, history of a country, and find out why maybe he said it.
But what about this new campaign that you've started now? Because you see the basic problem now as being, I mean, your first campaign that you did with the football authorities, I think you sold 5 million armbands against racism. That's one thing, but one wonders really, you know, what really the effect you did have. But you quite rightly, I think, identified the real problem as being with young people, didn't you?
It is, because I do remember when I was young, you know, I'm kind of strong mentally, so kind of, I won't say I knew how to deal with it, but, you know, as I'm a bit stronger, I try to rise above stuff sometimes, but I knew some friend who couldn't handle it. And I know, you know, that's why the 14 Foundation will be out there to help kids, to make them aware that race is not an issue if you want to achieve things.
But have you observed, as a player, have you observed young people sitting with their parents making racist remarks?
Unfortunately, yes. Yes, because sometimes when you arrive in some places to play a game and you see the kids doing some stuff or saying some stuff and you see the dad laughing. So that's why sometimes you have to... It is difficult because you can only do what you've been told. And it is difficult to go in the house of someone and educate them. But if you can somehow use your fame and speak to the kids and make them aware that it's not only one situation, it's not only one way, then after they can make their own mind.
One final question on this. I mean, it's a hypothetical question. I'm not asking if you're going to leave Arsenal and go and play abroad. I wouldn't ask you that because I know you want to. But they want to know. But I don't. But hypothetically, if indeed you were in a situation where you could play abroad, would you actually turn down playing in a country such as Spain that we've been talking about now, where racism seems to be a routine part of football life? Would you not play there?
Well, I'm going to answer that question really. That's going to be pretty easy. Well, before I went to play for Juventus in Italy, they had some major problem about racism there. And that didn't stop me to sign for Juve. That doesn't mean I'm going to leave Arsenal. I'm just trying to explain and answer to your question.
Now let's well, Wenger, you mentioned that Arsene Wenger is not so much your coach, he's been your mentor, hasn't he, your career? Because at Monaco, when you were a young boy, you went there and he was the coach there.
When he left Monaco, I just went on, you know, doing stuff, going to national team, winning the World Cup with my national team, and just after that, I was just a bit in a kind of in between starting to maybe be someone in football or being someone that people might know because I played for Monaco, or if you're a Monaco fan, you will know me or whatever. And then I joined him again at Arsenal, and my career completely changed.
And what about fatherhood? Because lately you've become a dad.
Yeah.
Has this changed you at all? Has this changed your perspective, the way you look at things?
Yes, it did, because now everything that we do, it's for her, it's for my daughter. So basically, I don't know, I'm just speechless even now. You know, I just left her before to come here, and I don't know, when I come home after a game, sometimes I'm a bit disappointed with myself. You know, I just see the smile on her face, and then that erases everything in my mind.
Is it better than scoring a goal against United? Is it better than that?
Oh, yeah. It is. I have to say yes, because if not, I'm going to get killed at home after. But to be honest, it's better.
It's better?
Yeah.
All right. Thierry Henry for the moment. Thank you very much indeed. Thierry Henry. My next guest is a diva of fashion who provokes extreme emotions in people. One admirer likened her to Aphrodite. On the other hand, she's been voted the most difficult woman of all time. They obviously never met Meg Ryan. Cheap crack. I take it back, Meg. For 20 years, she'd been one of the world's top models, the queen of the catwalk. Good going for a former shop assistant. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, please, Naomi Campbell. So, actually, I do get to meet people backstage normally, but this is the very first time we've ever met, isn't it?
Yeah, because I always think it's bad luck, so...
Meeting before you come
yeah.
on? Oh, I see. All right. Let's talk about this reputation of yours.
It's pretty bad in this country.
Well, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do you provoke such reaction in people, do you think?
I just think people in general, like, who are in the public eye are targets. And, I mean, I've definitely done wrong in growing up in this business since I was 15 years old in terms of making my mistakes and learning from them. I'm not a saint, I'm a human being.
What mistakes would you say you made?
I've done so many mistakes.
So many?
I mean, there's no handbook on how to be a model and, you know, all the cliches that you come up against. You just deal with it when you come up against it.
What don't you like about Naomi Campbell?
No, I like myself today.
You do? You're happy today?
Yeah.
You took this business of people not liking you to the courts when, in fact, you actually sued the Mirror.
It wasn't so much people not liking me. I think with the Mirror situation, it was more about me wanting to go to my recovery in privacy. I think recovery is a very good thing. I think it's something they should teach in schools. You know, you can get caught up in drugs and alcohol and not think you have a way out. And that's exactly what happened to me. And then when I did make the decision with myself and took people around me that cared about me to want to go away and fix what I had to fix and face my demons, it was, I think, a positive attitude. On the other hand, coming home here to London, which is where I'm from, I couldn't have the privacy to go to meetings like other people could. It's called anonymous. And I don't want to be a martyr of the program, and I don't want to be the person that stands up for it. I think it's just something that people should have the right to go to in privacy, because gossip kills, that's what they say. So
that's part of the creed of NA, is it? Narcotics Anonymous.
AANA, yeah.
Right. So, but nonetheless, I mean, it was a brave thing to do, because, I mean, this is a very powerful organisation. I mean, they don't muck around. And,
well,
I mean, a lot of people would have...
I think one of the reasons is because I could deal with them attacking me, but them attacking my family and making jokes about the colour of the skin and making criticism on my mother and my grandmother was very personal to me. And I think that's why I had the strength to say, well, I want to go all the way.
What's your situation now in regards to rehabilitation?
I go to meetings in every country I'm in.
So you're just permanent in a permanent state of rehabilitation?
Once an alcoholic addict, always an alcoholic addict. Yeah.
Well, what about, I mean, you're not going to blank me like he did about this, but what's about, I mean, how bad was it?
Everyone is different. Everyone has their limits and different volumes. I mean, personally, alcohol was not something that I really cared for. But when you stop drugs, you have to stop everything. And I just, now I just, I'm talking about it candidly here for the first time, but it's, I just say, like, when I did another interview in America, I have an allergy, I can't do it anymore. Besides the fact, when I did do it, it was, I took my first drug at 24 years old, and it got to a point of I lost 7 people in 1997, Gianni Versace, my friend Ennis Cosby got murdered, and it was also a build-up of grief and trying to numb my pain and say, I can deal with it, I'm dealing with it, I'm fine.
What kind of drugs were you on?
I did a drug, a speedy drug.
A speedy drug?
Mm-hmm.
Like cocaine?
Mm-hmm.
Is it prevalent in your industry? Don't read so much about heroin chic and that sort of
It's
thing.
in every industry. No one forced me to do it. I did it because I wanted to. I don't have any blame for anyone but myself. And I think it goes back to many different reasons. It could be childhood problems. It could be so many things. It just, it could be just like me not feeling comfortable in my own skin. Like I'm sitting in a restaurant a couple of days ago in Miami, and I'm like, why are they looking at me? Because I forget that I'm a model and that I'm in the magazines, that they know my face. They don't know me personally or what I feel.
Does that still affect you? Does that? I mean, I'm amazed by this because from
well, there's two sides of me. There's one side that's extrovert. I'm able to sit here and do this, and there's another side of me that's very introverted, and I get shy, and it takes me an hour to walk into a door of an event. So I don't know.
Well, when you let's investigate this business of you becoming a model in the first place, because I mean it's a well-known told tale that you were 15 years of age working in Topshop as a Saturday sort of relief.
14. I was
14, were you?
Yeah. I said I was 16. I didn't have a national insurance card, so I couldn't get my wage. But I didn't care. I just was so happy to be independently getting on the bus on Saturdays, going to a Saturday job, and I felt very grown up,
And a woman walked in and said, "I'm going to make you a star."
No, she didn't actually see me in Topshop. She saw me in Covent Garden. I was kind of taking a long detour from school, going home the long way, and she came up to me. I couldn't explain that to my mother very easily. But when I did a year later, she was like, I don't want you to model. It's not what I want to do. This is a bad world. It's corrupt. This is going to happen to you. And none of those things did happen to me. It only happened to me if I wanted it to happen to me.
So all the bad things that have happened to you have been sort of self-indulgent bad things in a sense?
It's not even bad. You could be a stockbroker on Wall Street and you could be doing drugs. It doesn't really, everyone goes through their whatever they go through.
What about is it as glamorous as it appears to be?
I mean, I do like 4 planes a week. I crossed the Atlantic 2 weeks ago 4 times. Went to Germany, came back, stayed a day in New York, went back to Athens, came back. I mean, it's tiring, but I mean, I have no regrets. I mean, I'm 34 years old, and I've been working since I was 15 and a half, and I'm still working at the same pace as I was working when I was 15, so I'm really blessed and very grateful.
You've outlasted most of the other supermodels, haven't you? I mean, you're really now the veteran of the catwalk.
I'm a grandmother.
You're a grandmother.
It's like, I think when you like what you do it to the best of your ability. If I don't like a job that's offered to me, then I don't commit myself to it, and I don't give it my all. If this past August, I just stayed in New York, went to school, didn't do vacation like I usually do. I just felt like I wanted to stay in my home, buy kitchen knives and hangers and stuff like that I don't get to do.
Again, I would imagine as well that one of the barriers you came against, again, at the time that you started modelling, I mean, there weren't too many black models around, were there?
And I mean, I was very lucky in the sense that I worked for Yves Saint Laurent, and I worked for Asdine Alaya. And I remember when they said to me in the cover I wanted a cover of French Vogue, because I saw these other girls like Linda and Christy saying, can I have a cover? And they'd be like, no problem. I said, can I have a cover? They said, not allowed, never had a black girl. And I was like, now what's the way I can get around this?
That must have been very hopeful, wasn't it?
Well, that's the thing. You have to learn not to take things personally. And I had good people around me that I thought, okay, well, I'm going to challenge this. So I went to Yves Saint Laurent, who was their biggest advertiser, and I said, they won't put me on the cover. He said, well, if they don't put you on the cover, I'm not giving them my clothes. And I'm not going to give the advertising. And they can't afford not to have that. So that's how I got my first cover.
A very significant moment, too, of course. I mean, it really was.
Yeah, I think...
It's these tiny things add up to a whole sort of picture of acceptance.
Well, when I get a cover of something, even now, like I'm on the cover of Greek Vogue for the Olympics and German Vogue, I just think it's not just for me, it's for the generation of girls before me, after me.
Why have you lasted, do you think?
I don't know. I like what I do. Can you believe it?
But you've got to be some different to that. What about the sacrifice you've made? I mean, you've never married.
No, I nearly got married, but I didn't think it was right, and it was too quickly that he asked me, and then I was being in Dublin, and in Dublin I heard you can't get divorced if I was made the wrong decision. So I know, but you know what? I'm friends with all my ex-boyfriends. We're really good friends, and that's what's important. If I was such a bad person, they wouldn't trust me and telling me their personal things.
Do you, but I mean, would you one day want to get married?
Yeah, to the right person, but I never want to get divorced. That's why when I think I've
Well,
been
you can't
waiting.
guarantee that, can you?
I know there's no guarantees, but I know if I had gotten married before in my 20s, I would have been divorced, and I don't want that. So I hopefully will find the right soulmate in my 30s.
When you find the right soulmate, would you propose to him?
No.
You wouldn't do that?
I wouldn't
You'd
even make the
make-
first kiss. I wouldn't even try to make the approach for the first kiss. I'm just completely like, takes me like about half an hour to make eye contact.
You're shy?
Yeah.
But Denzel's shy too, so I read. It's just another myth. I read that you proposed to your wife on the telephone.
And she told me no.
Is that right? You were
Yeah,
so
she said
shy.
no.
She said no?
She said no.
So what happened
I
then?
kept working.
You kept calling her. Talking about mentors, I was talking that to Denzel about Sidney Poitier. Your mentor, of course, is one of the most fascinating men of all. It's Nelson Mandela, isn't it? So how did you come to meet him?
When I met him when he first came out into New York, 1990. And there was an event in Tribeca. And then I went to South Africa soon after that for Miss World. And while I was doing Miss World, I was working with Iman and Blair Underwood. And Blair Underwood said to me, "We are working for the wrong people. We are taking money from the wrong people." And I suddenly got all nervous. So I then got on stage and said, "I donate all my money to the ANC." And then I got a phone call. I got a phone call the next day from Quincy Jones saying, "Do you want to go to Johannesburg? Do you want to meet Mr. Mandela Madiba?" So I went, and he's just been in my life ever since. And I talk about everything with him. He's, I mean, it's like a saint. He's very down to earth, very honest. He calls on your birthdays, and he's a special person. There's no one like him.
Now, what about, again, going back to this image where we started this this conversation? Do you think people looking in now would form a different opinion of you?
I have no idea. That's the thing. Everyone has their opinions, and I can't change their minds about who I am. I can just be honest to myself and be the best to myself of who I am.
But do you think, does it matter to you now? Does it matter that you want to change people's minds now?
Well, I'm sitting here, I'm being more open in terms of doing interviews. Interviews are something that I used to be really afraid of doing. And I think I used to hide behind my hair. I used to wear, I'm not wearing my contact lenses for the first time in years. I used to hide behind those. I guess as I get older, I want to be remembered for the things that I've done in my work and not for the personal things that my private life has spilled out to be, said about.
On the personal things, the question, a topic.
I won't ever talk about boyfriends.
So no, I'm not going to ask you about, but I'm not interested.
Me.
I was going to make the link, but I won't. But the one question I'd like to ask you is you talked earlier on to me about the anger you had inside you, which might have led to taking drugs or whatever. And
I'd say grief.
Oh, good grief. Well, all right. Maybe the same thing, because one of the things that I read about you that you kind of thought about was maybe your father leaving your home when you were a kid.
I think, honestly, I don't know where he is, but I think that's made me a person that's been I've always been very independent and a survivor, my mother says, and I think that's partly the reason. In the 70s, my mother was young, my father was young. Who knows why he had to leave? I think when I'm ready to find him, I will, but it's something I've always said when I'm married, I'd like to take that on. It's a lot to take on right now.
That's been my question, if you felt now secure enough to actually find him.
No, I don't feel secure enough right now.
But when you find the right man, then that will be the time.
Yeah.
All right, will you make him a granddad?
Yeah, maybe. I'd love to have kids. Whether I adopt or I'd like to have them naturally. I just try to live each day within the day. I don't try to plan what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't like to plan what I'm going to do next week. I'm not able to say, someone says, oh, let's do this in 2 months. I'll say, well, let's see, you know. Before I'd be saying yes to everybody, trying to do every single thing and please everybody. And now I'm just trying to please myself, because it sounds selfish, but it doesn't put you in so much of a confusion of have like a boundary there.
It's your life, girl.
Thank you.
Naomi Campbell.
Thank you so much.
Well done.
Good for you.
Kelly Holmes is only the 3rd woman in Olympic history to win a double gold medal. She's a national treasure and a hero. Ladies and gentlemen, our very own Kelly Holmes. Can I just... Gosh, they're heavy, aren't they? They're beautiful. Well done, girl.
Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing. You must be living a dream.
Totally. It's still so surreal to me, all of this. You know, I never ever expected kind of the response I've had coming back, and still very overwhelmed by it all.
And it's only just beginning, basically.
I think so.
And, of course, we provide the clothes today, because you don't have any, do you? They're all back in Athens.
Yeah, well, my clothes are in South Africa, and I've been living out of my bags for, what, 5 months. And all I've got is a pair of jeans, pair of combat trousers, and the rest of it's sports kit galore. So I was panicking today. I was thinking, I cannot come on the Parkinson with Tom Cruise. No way. I'm Billy, of course. Give him back his chopped liver.
No, it's absolutely stunning. Did you, like the other two, did you dream of doing this when you were a young person?
Yeah, since the age of 14, I had 2 dreams. One was to go in the British Army, and the other one was to be Olympic champion. And I've had a long career. I mean, I've been going as a senior since for 12 years now. Had a lot of ups and downs, and but always lived with my dream. And I always had this kind of burning desire to keep going for as long as I can, so I don't ever regret my career. And finally, 20 years later, it came not only once, but twice.
Did you? Did you at any time just feel like giving up? Do you think it's not going to happen? This is stupid, having this dream.
Yeah, I mean, emotionally, it's been a total roller coaster. You know, when something means so much to you, and you know, some people say it's obsessiveness or whatever, but it just meant so much to me to achieve my goals and my ambitions. And, you know, when I've been at the lowest, I just wanted to throw everything away and just think I can't pick myself up anymore. You know, I've had so many injuries. I mean, you name it, I've probably had it as an athlete. And, but like I say, there's always this one nagging thing in my heart, like, just don't give up. Don't give up, and so I fought back and fought back and fought back, and you know, been an emotional wreck most of the time, but I got through it.
It's inspiring what you've accomplished. I mean, to be able to do that is have a goal and to work so hard, because you can't.
There's a lesson there for everybody, isn't there? That's a great thing about it.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
to really mean that.
Yeah. And you realise, of course, you're in the presence of 2 great athletes.
Oh, well,
A Greco-Roman wrestler, and this man here, a cyclist.
As soon as they make picking up the tab in Olympic events,
then they'll start going for the
I'm
Olympics.
a gold medal straight away.
They haven't doing everything else, so you never know.
Then you'll be right in there, right?
Drugs at the Olympics. And it's a shame it's like steroids and all that. It would be great if it was marijuana, wouldn't it? See people clattering around and then stop and going, gee, look at that light. Whoa.
I think that actually, because Kelly, you are now part of, you have been part of the British Olympic bid, to bring the Games here in 2012. You should come up, Mr. Connolly. I mean, with what he's had, his views on the Olympics. I mean, yeah, you heard.
Well, when they have banjo, he'll be marching for the country.
Well, just remember that athletes have given drugs a bad name.
If Billy actually represented the case, I feel a lot more confident that we'd actually win it. I really do. It might be...
I'll be the madman in the kilt that runs on.
Oh, dear. But the great thing about athletics and sport is that it engages all of us, doesn't it? Because it's something that one time or another in our lives we've all done. Not all been actors, we can't all be comics, but we've all tried to run. We all know how it is, and that's the great inspirational thing about athletics. That it has this kind of reaction in people that got you the standing ovation when you walked in. You see?
Yeah, and even this week I had a parade down my hometown in Tunbridge. And I was kind of worried that maybe there wouldn't be that many people out there because they'd made this big event. And, this is what nearly reduced me to tears. I was coming down my hometown, and there was people from the old people's home out, and disabled people in wheelchairs, and little babies and kids, and just, it was so overwhelming. And when I got to the town, apparently the police said there was 80,000 people there, and I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I was so gobsmacked. I mean, just little old me on this bus, and I was, 80,000 people, and just to see how much my performances may have touched people, for me, just my heart just goes like mad. It's just absolutely amazing. And like you say, it just affects everybody, and that's what was really nice.
Are you prepared for how it's going to change your life?
I still kind of can't come to terms with the amount of support that I've got, because when we were in Athens, we were kind of in a bubble. We didn't see any. I never saw any media that was around, and so I was very shocked about what happened coming over here. And I'm really excited of what's going to happen in the future, and looking forward to it. I'm expecting people to come out of the woodwork that don't even know me. Tom knows a lot about that there. Just expecting all these different things, but I can handle it now. At the end of the day, I've got what I wanted, and that's what matters, and I'll have a big smile on my face forever.
Well, keep it there. It's a wonderful achievement.